really good docs for setting up a node and validators.
Oh yeah, amazing doc. I mean, this is way easier than actually just trying to do it from scratch.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of reading the docs for each of the clients is it's overwhelming, honestly. You really have to have quite a knowledge of almost computer science almost to get into some of those.
Well, and the mix and match is like basically you end up with this endless set of permutations and you don't even know what all the blocks are. Whereas Rocket Pool just says, you're going to need 9 pieces of software. We're
Yep.
going to give you 7 of them and you can, pick or randomly have the other 2 assigned, which is great.
Yeah, staking is not the most user-friendly activity.
No. But it seems like it'll be fun.
Oh yeah.
All right, I'll let you gentlemen get the show on the road here.
Yeah, node running is. I spent like 6 hours spinning up a node, not a staking node either, just a regular node, and finally got stymied. Finally got stymied by the fact that I'm on Starlink. So I'm behind carrier grade NAT, which means no S bueno. Theoretically, like IPv6 should work, but it just I got to that level where it's like, okay, I'm either gonna need to like fire up Wireshark and start sniffing packets, or just maybe set this aside for now.
Yeah. I went through a full cycle, like with the, with the bare metal clients, and then I was like, I'm gonna do it on VPS, and so I set up like first I did AWS, which sucks. That basically exists to give IT people jobs, and then I went to then I was like, I'm gonna set up on DigitalOcean, but then I first set up on a small shared node, and that was ridiculous. And then I started pricing on a full size node. I was like, I'm just going to be losing money month on month, like at an insane rate at this. So then I finally ordered a NUC, and it's been like a long time since I've worked with the PC world. So I was stubbing my toe all over the place setting up this stupid NUC, but totally set up now. It's awesome.
Wait, hold on a second. Is it NUC or nuke?
I don't know. Is it Kimetsu?
I don't know. In my brain, I say nuke, but I have a physics background, so I'm predisposed to that.
Yeah, I think it depends on whether you're in Great Britain or not. And,
well, look, we're texting here, so
yeah, there you go.
What do we say?
I usually just say NUC, but I usually don't have to communicate via speaking when I'm utilizing it. So I'm just talking to myself usually. So
in your head, you say NUC.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
Wow. Yeah, you guys are definitely wrong. My head is different and therefore correct.
Oh boy.
Man, I can't tell you how many I read extensively as a kid, and so many words that I just like invented pronunciations for, and then later in my life would drop them and just get the like blankest, stupidest stares. That's not even remotely close to how you pronounce that word. Where did you come up with that? I may have invented it when I was 8, but and it just carried it like a time bomb in my brain for the last 30 years.
He's been calling Clever Cleaver for the past year.
In fact, Cleaver was like in the running as a pronunciation when we first put it together. But yeah, no, it's not correct.
No one says C. No one says C lever.
C lever. Well, no.
C lever.
We're getting off the rails here. Should we get started?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'll mute myself. I'll show myself a bit.
You show myself. Yeah, I like your hat. Little Family Guy reference. Okay.
I'm gonna bring Craig in, and then we can start.
Do you want to bring Craig, or Charlene? Do you want to just skip Craig while you do your market update, and then we'll turn Craig on, so that way the recording is just a community update?
That's fine.
Or do you care?
Let's have our friend Craig.
Okay.
Fire it up.
No.
I have some quiz for you guys. Since we have
now recording.
We have our big orange friend Lamiro back with us today.
Oh, good. Yeah, he could do the quiz.
Oh, yes. Oh, he's gonna bring the curve up.
No. I never do the quiz, and I
don't
always
do it.
I'm a mid curve guy, so you know. I like
It's a
to do the
trap.
curve.
Like I
It's
said,
a
he's going to bring the
trap.
curve up. All right. It is Wednesday, July 5th, 2023 for the Aladdin Dow Community Call. We're going to kick things off with Charlene and her macro update. So we're going to get rip roaring here. So Charlene,
Alright.
you want to dive into it?
Yeah, sure. It's a very early morning, so trust me, guys. I actually prefer to do these calls in the evening. I'm not a morning person. But let's get into this. Again, we'll start talking about some data. And when I talk about economic data, it means that it's for U.S. economy primarily for today. So we had the manufacturing PMI came out as 46.3 for June. And the service PMI was 54.1 last month. So we talked about this before. So PMI is really the business confidence index. 50 is the dividing line. Above 50 is good, and below 50 is bad. So businesses in manufacturing are pretty bearish in general, while businesses in service seem doing very well. And last week we talked about new home sales data. Posted good growth in May and has been climbing steadily in the past year. However, if we check out the existing home sales data, I'm actually going to share a few charts.
Ooh.
So this is the new home sales data, and this is the existing. Right. So when we check out the existing home sales data, it really crashed from the beginning of this rate hike exercise, right? And let's also look at the mortgage data, right? And the mortgage, originations has been consistently coming down from month to month for the past 2 years. And Q1 mortgage was only like 1/4 of what it was 2 years ago. One more. And actually money supply has also been and is still in the contraction mode. So the liquidity situation still looks quite doomy. Lots of charts today. Sorry. Yeah, so I shared the yield spread for 10 years and 2 years and 10 years and 3 months. The yield curve inversion, right? We talk about this a lot previously. Has been around for almost a year, and the inverted spreads are widening. So what this tells us? This tells us that business and households are not borrowing for long term, right? And so the results are very divided, right? So last week I was excited, right? I told you guys, right? I walk around, and I feel like the economy is doing very well, and it doesn't look like recession. But when we really, go deep dive on the data, the results are very divided. I think the overall message, right? But this is still very rough. But the overall message, I think, is American people have money to spend, right? Or spend on credit card. U.S. credit card debt continues to grow, and it's hitting $1 trillion. And so consumer confidence and spending have shown some really good resilience. But manufacturing is challenging. And this rising funding cost, right, in the past 1 to 2 years has really put a lot of pressure on the banking system and market liquidity, right, to really hold back business and the households' confidence to invest for the future. And back on crypto side, I want to share a few charts as well. Lots of charts today. Sorry, guys. The first
We
one
love the
is
charts.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first one is a fiat stables ratio to Bitcoin's and Ethereum market cap. The ratio actually has kept coming down for this year, right? And the second one is just Bitcoin performance with its trading turnover. Market liquidity is nowhere close to previous highs. And we all know it's critical to have good liquidity support for any asset to really perform. So where the money actually came from for the recent rise? One more chart. So we have seen a spike in Bitcoin's perpetual open interest coupled with the recent hike. And the funding rate has been consistently on the positive side. So crypto world is definitely, has been adding a bit leverage of itself. And there could be some regulated capital inflow as well. But remember we talked about this with Kruger and Paul a while ago, right? When I, talk about stablecoin volume should be the primary indicator we look at for if crypto market is getting into bull and bear. But it seems there has been some decouple there, right? And I think Paul and Kruger brought up the point. So maybe something has changed for this cycle. Maybe the regulated capital inflow hasn't been really reflected by the fiat stablecoin supply. We can't really see those flows, right? Unless we know what's going on in the regulated exchanges and OTC DEX. But there is some supporting evidence. I found another interesting chart. Is on this Grayscale product, right? GBTC discount. So it has really narrowed down from close to 50% to around 20% in the last 6 months. And we all know GBTC is a product primarily for regulated players. So there has been some money inflow there, right? And on the big macro, so July will be a very important month for central banks. But the market is already expecting over 90% chance for another rate hike by the Fed. And the Bank of Japan will also have its meeting next week. So the long talk switching of YCC program, so really may happen anytime, right? The new governor has settled for a while. And we should be prepared if that happens. And it will be important turning point for the market. And so again, things will be volatile. So stay safe, guys. And that's it for this week. Hope it helps. Hope you like the charts.
What was our quiz?
God.
I was joking.
Okay, we got out the other side of it, and you're like that kid in the back of the class. Like,
Miss, do we have homework?
And is there any homework?
Do you have an app?
God.
Yeah.
For Ms. Charlotte?
Yeah, no.
Since you guys, that's what I'll prepare.
No, KMET's for it.
Kruger,
Let's be clear about
doing
this.
spitball.
Yeah.
I know.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get my recess.
God. All right. Well, that's a great update, Charlene. We do love the charts. I think that's I love a picture to follow along to, and I think it's very interesting. I think you're right that, I mean, I wonder if crypto stablecoins just have such a stink to them right now that any inflows are going to bypass them altogether. Yeah. Between the USDC like issues and obviously Tether is nobody's ever no like respectable centralized player is ever going to touch that. I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
Like, what else do you have? What other stable coin do you use if you're some kind of a suit sitting in the top floor of a bank?
You
Yeah.
don't. You buy right into ETH and BTC.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you
Yeah, I
hold your
think so.
stables in treasuries right now because it's paying.
Well,
a
yeah,
lot.
that's
So-
another good point in that like you can't stables can't compete with USTs right now, right? Like none of them really, not without like a pretty healthy chunk of risk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious how like that new, oh gosh, what is that, EDX or whatever that marketplace is for kind of like institutional investors, their
Yeah.
sort of
Fidelity.
market maker, how that will
Oh,
change sort
right,
of the
yeah.
data and sort of like if that's going to muddy the waters, if it's going to make things more clear as to what institutionals going to be doing. So be interesting to see in the coming months.
We will be watching
Yep.
and building. Shall we talk about what we make?
Yeah, sure. Dive into it here. All right. First thing up is Aladdin. And we've got a gauge on Curve now for ALD ETH.
We do
So-
have a gauge on Curve. Oh, actually, and before I'm sorry to derail us slightly. Who saw the picture on Twitter this morning of the Aladdin banner at the Hong Kong what's that? What's the event, Charlene, that's going on there right now? I'm not in the loop.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not.
she's
I'm not
gone.
sure.
She's left.
Yeah,
All
I'm
right.
not.
Yeah, it's a conference, but it's organized by I think Hailstorm. But it's sponsored by Curve. So
And
they
Aladdin.
they book a place for 200 people, and there's over 6,000 people signed up. And Aladdin is a small sponsor as well. And our banner is there, and people like it very much.
A small sponsor with a big banner. This might be the first. Is this the first Aladdin real world footprint? Like, is this?
Yeah.
Do we need to get a whole poster and like
Yes.
save it for posterity? We might need
Yes.
to.
Yes.
We're gonna. Somebody, K-Mets, we need to put you on a plane to Hong Kong. Do you have time this afternoon?
Well, man, well, that's gonna really throw my week off. But I'll do what I got to do to get the banner.
Okay. Yeah, get the banner and then put it in glass, backfill with argon.
It's pretty slick,
Okay.
man. That is
It's a
really
nice
slick.
banner.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Although I don't know that f of x is going to remain the smallest planet in the Aladdin solar system for too long. I think it's gonna quickly take over the Saturn or the Jupiter position in that in the next version of our poster. Sorry. Anyway, I was distracted. We were talking Aladdin. The Aladdin Galaxy. I think solar system maybe would have been better, but whatever. No, that's fine. Let's you were saying K-Mets that the ALD ETH gauge is active. We passed the vote on Curve.
Mhm.
We can, I mean, I don't know if anybody cares, but we can drop a link in chat and you guys can check out the officially passed gauge, which means that ALD and ETH does have a gauge. And I don't know, like we don't talk about price in the community call, but I will say that much like we don't talk about Bruno, where the whole song is talking about Bruno. We don't talk about price in the community call, but the ALD price has been all over the place the last few days, and potentially we're kind of I'm speculating that it's players gaming around this introduction to the Curve gauge bribe game. So that's kind of
You know what? Actually, I think if you look at it, the Curve and Uniswap, like all the real price places where you can really buy it, have been pretty reliable.
Yeah.
And the CoinGecko's been reading off of the market app. I don't even like it's been using
Oh.
Gate.
Oh,
CoinW.
have I been tracking the wrong place? Have I been punking myself by just lazily looking at CoinGecko?
Well, it's not just
If you-
you. It's
yeah, if you-
everybody. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Everybody's been looking at it.
CoinGecko's wrong. But
Okay.
and I know because every time it plummets, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go buy some ALD. and then I go to
And
Curve,
then-
and it's like the
And
It's
then
the exact
it's
same
wah
price.
wah. Son of a
Rude
gun. Well, so
awakening.
exactly.
so maybe we should
you guys
ping-
need to fix that with CoinGecko. Yeah,
Yeah.
they keep
Yeah.
reading off the wrong exchanges, Gate and CoinW, which are
Oh,
very unreliable.
yeah.
When it comes
Yeah,
to
they've got to have like very
Well,
low
but look
liquidity
at-
there.
No, but
I
look
don't
at the
know.
volume. CoinW has 300,000 volume in the last 24 hours. The next
But-
highest
but
is
it-
Gate with 6.
How can that?
But it's got to be wrong. It's got to be wrong.
Yeah,
There-
that
there's
sounds like
definitely a mistake
sounds like-
there. It's the wrong token or something. You guys need to fix that.
yeah. All right.
Along with getting the market cap, my pet peeve.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, yeah, all right, we're with you. Okay, so so please disregard then my comments about ALD price. Apparently that is just entirely CoinGecko nonsense. And we're going to reach out to them.
Yeah.
That's very anticlimactic. So never mind.
Yeah.
There's nothing
We're
to
on
learn
it.
from that. Yeah. But the gauge is official. The gauge is passed, and Aladdin continues to deepen its integration with the Curve world, the Curve universe. All good.
Yeah. All right. And then moving on to Concentrator, we got a couple of things for Concentrator here. We've got the proposal to switch AFXS, the underlying auto compounding asset. So we've got a link to the forum post that discusses it here, and we'll post it here real quick. Oops.
Yeah, I put it in there.
There you go. Yeah.
It's in there. So yeah, and this is we've been kind of like dancing around this for a couple of weeks now. Again, it's pretty uncontroversial. We've had a little bit of, a handful of people have popped by the forum. So far everybody is pro AFXS compounder switching to CVXFXS. A little bit of this is just, we want to make sure that we want to make sure we go through all the correct actions. And so that if there was some sort of like undercurrent of dissent about CVXFXS in the community, that it would hopefully surface during this process. But I would say that the general lack of interest and the on the surface like uncontroversialness of the proposal, I think that's giving us all the signal we need. So we'll fire up a snapshot vote for this pretty soon and just get this thing put to bed.
Yeah. So that one, go check out the forum and leave any comments or vote. So I think how long it's been up for a few days now, I think. So we'll leave it up for a little bit longer so folks can get their input and let us know what they think. But yeah, like Kruger was saying, it's kind of a no-brainer for the most part. So
yeah, we might as well get that locked down.
Yeah. And then go ahead.
I was going to say the second item for Concentrator is just a minor sort of nuts and bolts update. As we've talked the last couple of weeks about how the ongoing revenue distribution, at least for the foreseeable future, is going to be done in A-curve to limit the, at a certain point in time, we don't want VECTR holders in general to be forced to deal with dust. All right, because we also have to be conscious of the fact that we're on mainnet and gas being what it is. So we're trying to be as gas friendly as possible here. And so for the foreseeable future, we're going to be concentrating the concentrator yields into A-curve, and so that all of your VECTR reward, all yields like revenue share, is going to come in the form of A-curve. That's going to be concentrated from all of the different vaults that are harvesting fees, right? That are harvesting yields and collecting fees.
Yeah.
So that's been automated, and really, this is just an announcement for anybody who is, and any nerds who are following our GitHub will see this a little bit of code work, a code check-in, and that's off for audit right now. As always, we don't deploy anything to mainnet that does not have a quality audit behind it and is well tested. So we're just in the process of tying that up for VECTR holders and the people who are collecting these revenues. You will see no nothing that you need to do, no changes happening. You'll just continue to earn your A curve. Although, as we mentioned before, now that we've turned on the fee flow from all of the vaults and not just the A curve vault, we're going to see a little bit higher yield rate on that VECTR going forward. As of right now, if you check out the website, the APR is 194%, which is
fantastic.
That's right, and I think we only expect it to go up from there, right? Kim?
That's right.
So,
yeah, number go up.
No, okay, maybe I'm wrong about that. That's that is of course an artifact of the one-time distribution that we did last week of all of the accumulated revenue that had not yet been shared. So that one-time chunk went out last week. That was the money in the cushions, and then starting in the next week or two, the ongoing flow from Vault harvests are going to go there, and so that APR number is going to stabilize over the next couple of weeks down to back down to earth, and but that will start to reflect. It will be higher than prior to the this distribution because it will now include revenues from all of the vaults.
Yeah, so it's just sort of a very just sort of a transparent update from us as to what's going on and what to expect, and so you'll still be getting your rewards in A curve, and so really like we were saying, nothing changes, and we'll just keep on.
Nothing changes, but when the code underlying your vaults and your when the code changes on chain, you want to understand why. So full disclosure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and then FX, we've got not a whole lot of major updates in terms of things that are sort of public facing, other than just kind of like an update on sort of where we are in the code rework for the LSDs as in the reserve, and so that's been working on, and it's completed, and now it's in audit, and so it looks like it's also undergoing some internal tests, so that'll be going on for a little while. So once
I mean the story here is that we're right on track, and the first public facing, like community facing thing that you guys are going to be able to see with the new LSD backing system is going to be the deployment to testnet. So as KMet says, the code is complete, it's in audit. In parallel with that, we are doing our internal testing and just kind of convincing ourselves that everything works the way it should before we deploy to Sepolia. And
so we'll let everybody know. We'll send out an update once it's ready to go to testnet, so that everybody can stock up on their Sepolia testnet ETH again. And
that's right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, you can use those faucets will give you ETH every day, and so like if you're not claiming it, you're leaving money on the table. It's fake money, but it's money.
I did find a really cool proof of work Sepolia testnet faucet, and so you can if you go and do it now, you can rack up something like 100 Sepolia ETH and really put this thing through the ringer. So
now that's what there's the challenge to the community. So without committing to anything, I would say you've got a week or two at most. I would say we're aiming to get this into the hands of the community to play with on testnet as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of testnet time before we move on to the next phase, which is going to be mainnet deployment. I think actually I don't have my little cheat sheet up here anymore. I have to pull it up.
Yeah, well, it's essentially that, right? Yeah, I mean it'll be, and then So just keep your eyes peeled on the Discord and Twitter, and we'll certainly keep everybody up to speed and let everybody know where that stands, and we'll just keep on keeping on.
Yep. Yeah. Look for action there soon. We're going to have that testnet deployment is going to be a lot of fun, and then we're going to get to our first look at how the LSD backed system worked. And just as a reminder to everybody, like the key difference there is all on the stability side. So lower fees on minting and redeeming, and rather than this like 4-step relatively complicated risk management system, we have a much simpler and much more lucrative for users, because you can farm your FETH now, and so we'll get a chance to see that on testnet, the FETH rebalancing pool, and we'll see if we can't push this thing into we'll see if we can't push this thing into stability mode and try to get that rebalancing pool to trigger, and the fake ETH farmers can make some fake real ETH. So
it's gonna be fun. All right.
yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. So okay, so now Clever. So we've got we saved this to last because we've got a few things to talk about. Clever, some updates. The first one is the community booster distributions. Go check out the vesting page on Clever because it should be up and you should be getting your distributions. That should be live right now, so it's ongoing. So take a look.
That's right. I checked it. I can see mine. Right. Everybody should have 1.75% vested from the most recent vote. So go check that out.
Yeah, double check that, and yeah.
And you'll see the total tokens. As I always love it. Every time we get this stuff out here, I always think like this is just such a good way to do distributions. It's clear. I can see each one of the allocations and how much it has vested. It's a great vesting system. So keep an eye on that for all the boosters, and congratulations to everybody who got some tokens. And if you didn't, or if you'd like to participate in the Clever Booster program or any other booster programs, it can be easier, right? You just do it. You just start participating in the community, make some content, post it. Let us know. Talk about it in the Discord if you like. There's a channel specifically for people to drop links to stuff that they've made, just to make sure that we don't miss it. So give that. It's easy to do, and it's very rewarding. And everybody who participated in the last round, they know that they've got a 1.75% in their pocket, telling them that it's a rewarding experience.
Yeah. I think it's one way that I've certainly got involved with Aladdin, and it really kind of hooks you in, and so hopefully everyone's finding it rewarding and enjoying it, and so we'll keep on keeping on with that one. So the next one will probably be in about
K-Mets in our pocket.
Yeah, my friendship is very cheap. Let me tell you,
it's A, for sale, and B, affordable.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So just waiting for a better deal from another protocol right now. So
yeah, I mean, you're supposed to say that part quietly. He's angling for a higher price friendship here. Okay, so let's jump into the last thing, because this one's a little bit meatier. And so the team actually has a new proposal regarding Clever that we've posted in the Clever forum. So let's drop this link here. People take a look at it. Let's see.
There we go.
Oh, K-Mets, you got it. All right.
Yep.
So this, as part, now again, there's a little bit of background in the top of the proposal. Basically, we're always watching these products. We're kind of like monitoring how they're performing and looking at ways that we can tweak them and adjust them and maybe supercharge them a little bit if possible. And one of the things for Clever, I mean, Clever has a great revenue stream now. Clever is the number 2 CVX holder on the DAO CVX leaderboard. With over 2.5 million and growing, consistently growing, right, since the beginning. If you go check out Marco V's Dune dashboard for Clever, you can see that the CVX locked in Clever has been growing continuously. Not consistently, right? Sometimes faster, sometimes slower, but it's kind of all there. And there's a few things that prompted us. We wanted to do. We wanted to kind of check Clever out. In particular, like one of the things I think is Badger's winding down right now, and so there's going to be a bunch of CVX that was in Badger that I believe is going to be sort of jumping back into the market, and CVX looking for somewhere else to live potentially. And so we want to make sure that we're kind of putting our best foot forward there. And one of the things that we kind of the main thing that we look at for Clever is the growth of that CVX deposit rate, right? Like how many people have deposited to have Clever harvest their yields, and also to have the possibility to borrow against their CVX and potentially create that leverage position. as we've talked about before. Again, you don't have to do the leverage. You can do anything with your borrowed CVX, but for the purpose of kind of understanding how the system works, we make the assumption that people are borrowing in order to take leverage, because when you do that, that makes it worthwhile. That makes the fees that you pay worthwhile because you earn more. Mm-hmm. And so what we've suggested, what we've done here is we've suggested a restructuring of the emissions and the revenue. So let's just kind of step through here. The big picture here is that we think we can boost the growth of Clever by cutting Clev emissions way down and taking away some of the negative, some of the selling pressure on the Clev token, which will in turn lift up the yields on both ABC CVX and on the LP. And just again, a little bit of like high level context for anybody who's not thinking about Clever sort of big picture right now. The way that Clever works is that people come and they deposit their CVX, they borrow this Clev CVX, and then they have to swap it or they have to convert that to something else. And they generally have to do that it has to go through CVX. And so you go to the Curve pool and you make a swap. Every time you swap from Clev CVX into CVX, it pushes the price of Clev CVX down. And so then what ends up happening is you get this discount, the Clev CVX discount, which hovers between like 15 and 20% generally. Zed Grow Z, Z Grow Z, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. One of our friends on Twitter
I think
had a great thread about it.
G's.
0G? No, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I really messed that up.
You weren't kidding about the whole pronunciation thing.
No, not at all. Not at all. I don't even take the time to make it make sense in my head before moving on. And then anyway. Okay, so 0G, our friend who we all know his name is 0G and not anything else, had a great thread. Lanero, keep your emojis to yourself. Had a great thread talking just a little bit about that Clev CVX discount and what it means and what it represents and how it's really not a peg, and it's not like, oh, when it's off peg it's bad and when it's on peg it's good. It represents the price that people are willing to pay in order to take that leverage position, in order to get CVX right now from their future yields, right? And but the rate at which Clever, the protocol, can grow, if you assume that discount is basically fixed by the market, right? It is fixed by people's willingness to take, how much people are willing to pay in order to get CVX today from their tomorrow CVX. And that's up to each individual player, and the market determines that. But the rate at which Clever can grow determines how quickly we can have CVX funneling into that LP on the other side, right? So every time somebody swaps Clev CVX to CVX, the price goes down. Every time somebody swaps the other way, brings real CVX in, and that happens either for farming, or it happens to swap the other way in order to go to the furnace and basically arbitrage that discount, because you can take your Clev CVX and get real CVX 1-to-1 in the furnace, or through the ABC CVX mechanism, which is basically an automated way of farming both of those things. And so essentially we can increase the flow. If we increase the flow of CVX into that LP, then we can increase the growth rate, because we basically make more space for people to deposit and borrow for a discount that they find acceptable. And so we're looking at ways to just increase the flow rate onto the LP to help increase the flow rate into Clever in general. And that's going to be done by pumping up those yields, by pumping up those rewards. And so the idea here is we're going to cut Clev emissions. We're going to eliminate by half. We're looking at actually cutting the regular emissions by half to eliminate that constant sell pressure, particularly the Clev emissions that are going to buy bribes, because a lot of those are just automatically sold, right? Which is what we do at Clever, right? Yeah. In fact, we are automatically selling Clev, a little bit of it, as part of the Clever mechanism, because we are, we are voting for maximum yield, like many others are as well. And so the idea here is we cut those Clev emissions in half. We get rid of some of that regular sell pressure to bump up the yields for ABC CVX and Clev CVX. And then by doing so, help to make lots of room and really kind of kickstart hopefully an inflection point that we can take another big step upward with Clever growth. So that's the big picture plan, and the nitty gritty goes as follows. If you see in the proposal, there's a four-step plan there that's enumerated about halfway down. And so the idea is, first of all, Aladdin is going to step in and take some of the available resources that it has and start voting for CLEV CVX and CVX LP emissions. All right, so we're looking at probably CVX, although I realize that it's not the only option. I don't know that we've necessarily. I don't know that we know exactly whether it's going to be through CVX or another way to vote. Like an SD curve or something. But we're going to be voting for those emissions into CLEV CVX and CVX. And so what that means is that we can cut down our CLEV emissions that we were paying in bribes by 500 per epoch, per bribe epoch. Number 3 is we are looking at, and this is the juicy one, we are looking at cutting the VE CLEV revenue sharing from 75 back to 50. So this is one that people need to look at and you need to think about. But we are then, if you look at step 4, going to take that the 25% of total revenue that we are going to divert away from sharing. We're going to combine it with the 25% that's currently just landing in the treasury. And we're going to take that total 50% of Clever's non-shared revenue. So that's like the 50% is going to VE CLEV in this situation, and all of the rest is going to be devoted to bribing CLEV CVX and CVX. And so that's going to be, and remember, there's no negative pressure on CLEV there because all of those yields, all of those revenues are denominated in CVX. So we're going to take that CVX and we're going to use it to bribe as well in CLEV CVX and CVX LP emissions. And by doing that, we're going to be able to cut another 840 CLEV emissions from each bribe epoch. So add it all together, it's over 1,300, which represents about half of the CLEV emissions that are currently being sort of put into the markets, and they're being spent on bribes. So they are in general, those are the emissions that are being kind of like insta sold, right, or even automatically sold.
Yeah.
Okay, please, K-Mets, take a.
Yeah, I think I think for most of it, it's pretty much straightforward. I think the one that I know for me personally, the one that I was like, I don't know about this, was the reduction in VE CLEV revenue. And so you just have to kind of like it's a decision you have to make for yourself. But I think that the health of the protocol obviously is paramount to everything, and not only that, but getting 75% VE or revenue from a VE token is, I don't know of any that are better than that. I mean, that's incredible. And so like 50% is pretty standard for VE. So to be able to
what really got me thinking about it, because I was thinking about the same thing. But I don't look at this through a defensive lens, really. Like Clever is not in any kind of trouble. Clever is growing and growing and growing. This is really more of an offensive play, right? And so as a VE CLEV holder, right, I'm looking at this as one of those situations where it's kind of like reinvestment versus it's reinvestment versus revenue sharing, right? Mm-hmm. The 75% revenue share was kind of a meme in the beginning, but not fake, like very, very, very much real. But I think at this point in time, in terms of long-term upside, I think that VE CLEV, I think that CLEV holders are going to be vastly better served by just more growth, especially at this stage. Yeah. When Clever is a $2 trillion monster, then I think the name of the game stops being about growth and starts being a little bit more. You don't maybe need to aggressively grow as much, and we start pushing up those revenue shares. But I think the overall yields, and this is the thinking, okay, behind change. The thinking is always about making the platform work as well as possible to grow, and that reflects directly on token holders. So this of in the spirit of the for Clever and
Yeah.
Clev holders, right? So trying to, we basically looked at it and we can stop a lot of this downward pressure on the Clev by and by the way, stopping that downward pressure on the Clev token is going to offset a lot of those lost revenues or lowered revenues, if you want, lowered fractional revenues, because your boost is going to be worth more, and of course any other Clev that you are either farming or getting is hopefully, like, that's the idea here, is that that's all going to be more valuable, and so it should be like we're hoping or trying to design it as kind of like a net negative change, with the exception that, sorry, a net neutral change with the exception of opening up the growth upside for Clever and then opening up the upside for everything through that.
Yeah, exactly. And so, like, for, with that sort of that reduction in sort of the VE Clev revenue share, this increases the yields for, I mean, if you're getting your CVX, from that revenue share, you can now put it into, ABC CVX, which that yield's going to be even higher. So it all kind of offsets from a very short term, personal level. But as you're saying, like, for a protocol, for a long term growth, it's really a pretty good strategy. And
it just makes so much more sense to focus on growth right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the team wouldn't put it out there if we didn't think, it was, a sound strategy. So, but we want to hear everybody's feedback, and make sure that we've considered all angles. So,
well, and nothing's irreversible, as always. We are putting out a proposal here. I mean, it doesn't happen without community support, and it's if you want to think of it as an experiment, think of it as an experiment. We're gonna roll the. We're gonna try this configuration out because we think it's going to help with the Clever growth upside. But if it doesn't play out that way, we can always tweak again.
I think by making the growth even stronger, I think we'll get even better memes out of Meta CVX for Clever. So I'm very
I think so. I'm hoping so. Anyway,
if he can even improve them now. I mean,
it's our secret plan. It's our secret plan. It's called the Meta CVX growth maximization plan.
Yeah, exactly. Oh boy.
And I'll say, I mean, I don't know. Do we? Go, Linero, go.
Was it?
I got my mid-curve question here. All right.
Please.
I'm like, I think I'm missing a step here. So how does this cut the Clev emissions in half? Because if it all goes back into bribing Clev CVX, doesn't that still end up getting insta-dumped?
No, because remember, the platform revenues are not in Clev. The platform revenues are in CVX.
The platform revenues are in CVX. Yes.
So we're stopping, whereas currently we are emitting Clev to pay bribes.
Yes.
We're now changing that to basically taking our revenue, which is CVX, and spending that on the bribes and ceasing emissions of the Clev that was previously used to buy those bribes.
So bribes will no longer be paid in Clev. They're going to be held by Aladdin Treasury, and the CVX will be used for the bribes?
You got it.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
So we're cutting a huge, now, by the way, and this is what I was going to kind of like mini alpha leak here. We have an idea that we might, in the long run, we might actually be able to cut Clev emission down to nothing, right? Mm-hmm. Like, depending on how growth and revenue and everything works out, and what liquidity costs are and everything else. And remember, Clever CVX is based entirely, it's the engine of Clever CVX is the CVX yields, right? And we are, as Linero can maybe fill out a little bit more completely, we're not exactly in a great place for bribe yields right now, right? Things are kind of steady, but we're a long way off of the highs and the excitement. So the thinking here is that if liquidity continues to be valuable, if Curve continues to be valuable, if CVX continues to control a big part of those that Curve governance power and those Curve emissions, that the bribing game should we're expecting the bribing game to pick up significantly as the market picks up, or when the market picks up. And so a lot of what we're doing right now, we're optimizing to get the best out of Convex as it exists. But I suspect that a lot of the people who are using Convex and creating their leverage positions are doing it in anticipation of what these bribe yields look like in a more bullish kind of market situation. So
Yeah.
as we make it sustainable in the bear situation, when we get to that bull situation, that's when, that just to tie it into what I was saying before, that's when we potentially have the option to cut the Clev emissions even further. It's like the in the world of emissions, it's a little bit like the equivalent of like a stock buyback, right? Where you're taking away, you're putting sort of positive pressure or taking away negative pressure on the price of the token itself.
Yeah, and Clever, I guess it's a lot of the mechanics of it are not like completely intuitive. So it might take you a time or two to read it to kind of like digest kind of everything that we're proposing. But please reach out. Feel free to ask questions and get anything clarified so that we can kind of talk about it.
So Linero's our guinea pig. Linero, do you grok it now? Do you grok it or what?
Yeah, it does make sense. I'm curious about the reduction to zero, because right now the other half will be, of course, the farmers, right? All the farmers on Clever who are getting paid.
Well,
too.
Exactly. So, but if you look at the path that we've taken here, and sort of the example we're laying out with this change, as revenue grows, this isn't about cutting down farming yields, right? It's about changing.
I'm wondering if you're talking about paying them in CBI.
Well, I mean, in the long run, absolutely. I mean, so first of all, we only have 50 years of Clev emissions planned. So in year 51,
there'll be some long range planning here.
Yeah, well, in year 51, there isn't going to be any Clev to emit anyway. So we got to be ready by then. I'm not sure what year that's going to be, but you can kind of see the shape of it, right? Like the idea of token emissions as a source of yield it's by nature, it's temporary, right? It has to be. It's only good as long as, like, if you're inflating indefinitely, it's only good as long as you're growing, and nobody grows forever. But if you, like, what we've done is with the tokenomics of all of the Aladdin products, is that the cap, like the total supply, is limited, and the emission schedule, there are these hard constraints on exactly how many tokens will ever exist and exactly when they will be printed. So there has to be a story, unless your protocol is only planned to survive that long, which, even if it's 50 years, whatever, where you want to make something indefinitely sustainable. So, starting to think about that and thinking about that right from the very beginning, like it's not a valid business if it requires token inflation to work, right? We use token printing to bootstrap and to like grow and to establish a market position. It's a resource that we have, but it's not infinite.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyhow, as always, this is out for community review, and as we have demonstrated in the past, any like proposals that do not have community support do not move forward. So please do scratch your head about this. Leave a comment on the forum. I think we'll probably at least we'll drop some notes in the Discord. Maybe we'll tweet this out as well, just to encourage all of the Clever and the Aladdin people to take a look at this. We want to get eyeballs on it. We want to get brains thinking about it. And if we have support, if the community agrees with the team that this is a positive step forward in a way that we can really kind of grow the pie, then we put it on Snapshot, get a vote, and these changes require there's no code changes here. This is all just operations, right? Which is nice. It means that the implementation of it is going to be pretty trivial, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think I mean, so that reduction in sell pressure on the Clev token could happen, relatively quickly. but yeah, we will need to go through the whole governance process, and everyone's going to have to take a look at it. So just be mindful
Well, I mean,
of it.
as you say, it's you know, when you're making a change to the revenue share, which was kind of like it was a marquee number that we put out when we were launching the token in the first place. And so, you know, changes to those kinds of fundamental parameters require governance. There's no two ways around it.
Yeah. So just take a look at it. Let us know what you think. Is there a poll on it, or are we just like asking for comments? There's a poll.
There's a poll. We have 1 4-voter so far. I'm not permitted to. Oh wait, am I permitted to vote? Yes, I am, and I just voted. Now we have 2 4-voters. So
overwhelming majority so far.
Yeah, literally
favor, so.
100% in favor. Just like to tie this back in, just like our ALD ETH gauge vote, 100% in support. Although, but that one reached quorum, and this one's still a little ways off.
Yeah. So, but we'll keep this up for a little while, and so everybody will have a chance to look at it, and we'll, like we said, we'll tweet it out, we'll put it on the Discord, and we welcome all discussions, and you know, clarify whatever sort of confusion there may be. So,
and please do leave your comments on the forum. Reach out if you want to reach out privately to anybody on the team. Tag us in the main Discord and let us know, because most people have their DMs closed, and so we will need to set up a friend request. But if you have feedback or questions or concerns about this change, you are welcome to reach out individually to the team, as well as talk about it on the forum or in Discord.
Yeah, it looks like Meta CVX has a question here of Treasury Aladdin DAO. I do not understand very well. To buy CVX in what quantity? So I guess, yeah. So I think. Go ahead. Yeah.
So basically, like Aladdin DAO has resources from past, like, so there's a little bit of money in Aladdin's treasury that's come from some past endeavors, like the original bonding release, which was like a year and a half ago now. But some, you know, there are some money in the couch cushions of the Aladdin treasury, and essentially what we're talking about doing is buying some CVX. Some of that is in CVX already. Some of it will be bought. It's not a huge amount, maybe 100 plus K. 120, 130K, something like that. I don't have the number in front of me, but it's something in that ballpark. And that's, you know, that number is how we get to the 500 clev emission reduction.
Yeah, and just FYI, like, you know, it's an amount of CVX that would be purchased that would not affect like the future runway of Aladdin DAO or any of the other, you know, protocols. So it's, you know, in terms of operational expenses, it's not going to be something that's going to, like, you know, we're not going to have to pinch pennies for a while or something like that. So
yeah, it's not this is not like stables from our runway. This is all sort of assets that we've earned in various sort of ways. And again, Aladdin's been around a long time. Right? Like, this was kicked off in summer of 2021. And so that's like 72 and a half crypto years ago.
I was going to say, it's just funny how we refer to like 2.5 years as a super long time in DeFi. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what do you, like, how old's crypto? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta think in those terms, right? Like, this is true. This is, you know. All right. I think we've done it justice, and it is 11. Well, it's 11 here. It's start plus 1 hour o'clock.
Wherever you are. Yes.
Wherever you are. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if anybody's got any other questions, please plop them into the chat. But otherwise, I think we're gonna wind it down here. Yeah. So, thanks for hopping in, everybody. Good chatting with you, Lanero. Yeah, listen, anytime, man, anytime. It's always good. We like, you make such a great foil. You're not quite an audience plant, but you're such a great, like, a person to sort of have in the audience, like, whoa, sir. Yeah. How can this be true? I'm more of Kruger's Mr. Smithers, you know, just his yes man, and so we need that person to kind of fight back a little. I'm I'm always ready to take your softball questions.
Well, I mean, you sounded great today, Kruger. It was a great call.
You know,
Just,
it's nice of you to say that. It's nice of you to say that. You did too, K-Mets, especially when you were complimenting me.
Well, of course, yes. Anytime, sir. Anytime.
Columbo, yeah. Oh man. Well, thanks
Okay.
everybody for coming out. It was great to see you all here, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yep. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.